Hi everyone and welcome back. So I've had a bit of a weekend of it. Last Friday night my heart went into atrial flutter. Now that means, for anyone who doesn't know, that the sinus node in your heart starts sending beats to your heart when it shouldn't do. The sinus node is a natural built-in pacemaker, if you like. It sent beats to my heart unnecessarily, which caused it to race up to 160 beats per minute plus, reaching a peak of 170. It was quite scary, to be honest, and I thought it would just go away. I thought it was just another palpitation. I get them all the time. They last about 5 to 10 minutes, and then they go. But no, this one didn't. I woke up Saturday morning, my heart's still racing, and eventually Saturday afternoon, it took till the afternoon because there's me being scared and ignorant that it would go away. So eventually Saturday afternoon I rang 111 and got some help. They sent me down to my local urgent care centre, who did an ECG, checked me over and came to the conclusion that something wasn't right. So they then sent me on to Glenfield Hospital in Leicester. Now they have a specialist heart centre. For now, that might be closing. I'll get into that in another video. But for now, they have a specialist heart centre, and they have all my notes. That's where I've always gone since being a baby, basically, with my heart defect and any issues that arise. So I went there to the CDU unit. I think it's the cardiac critical decisions unit. I think, might be wrong, and was kept in overnight. Basically, they hooked me up, did ECGs, did tests, and sure enough my heart was still doing 150 to 160 BPM. They decided the best thing to do was a cardiovert. Now that means that they shock you effectively. They shock you into a rhythm, or they shock your heart into a rhythm. It's not the riskiest of procedures. It's fairly commonplace, but it's scary. You know, it's scary when they tell you what they're going to do. It's scary when you think you have to go through that. And with my warfarin, they can't put me to sleep. So with anyone else, they'd have put you to sleep and still done the procedure. But for me, I have to be not completely knocked out. So I'd effectively be conscious throughout this whole thing. I'd be in an extremely deep sedation and probably wouldn't know what was happening, and I wouldn't remember it. The doctor assured me that I'd have no memory of it at all. But I was scared nonetheless. You know, it sounded horrible. Eventually, they, after making me kneel by mouth for a long time and starving me for the day, they got out the kit, hooked me up, put the pad on my chest and on my back, brought in the crash kit just in case, and went off to get the sedation, or to leave me for a bit while they got the sedation. And then there was a miracle. There was a medical miracle. My heart went from 150 BPM down to 70, and then eventually down to 65. And when the doctor came back, my dad, who'd been sitting next to me the whole time, told them, you know, his heart's, you know, pointing up to the monitor, his heart's on 65 BPM. So they checked it, and because I've got an irregular heartbeat anyway, I've got a heart murmur anyway, they couldn't be sure how accurate the machine was, so they did a test, another ECG. I had a lot of ECGs over the night, and found that, yeah, my heart was doing 60 BPM. They couldn't believe what they'd seen. They really couldn't believe what they'd seen. And luckily, I didn't have to have the cardiovert, but the doctor decided to keep me in overnight anyway for observation, which made sense. So after thinking, okay, great, I'm out of the woods here, you know, I'll just go to sleep tonight, wake up in the morning and I'll be discharged. That was so naive, wasn't it? That was so stupid. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm woken up by, my heart going crazy again. 150 BPM up to 160 yet again. Now the nurse on the night shift couldn't do anything obviously, but she came in, she cooled me down, got me a glass of water, because it was, you know, you're sweating when your heart's doing that. It's as if you've done any exercise. It's as if you've ran for miles, and sure enough I felt like crap. So I got sort of cooled down, had my water, the nurse looked after me, and the next morning the doctor comes in again. Okay, this time we're cardioverting you. Your heart's still going crazy. He didn't put it like that, he's a doctor. But my heart was still going crazy, still at 150 plus BPM. And again, he got the crash kit. He put the pads on me. He went off to get the sedation, and my heart went down to 60 BPM. Again, I sorted myself out. And again, the doctor couldn't believe what he'd seen. This, honestly, it was really just, it was just strange. It was just weird how I went from needing quite a, not too risky, but a fairly risky procedure, to not needing anything. Nothing at all. It was all sorted, all done. And it was just weird. The second time, the doctor said, he left it a couple of hours, saw that again it had not gone, and decided this time he wouldn't leave me in for observation. Although it was, at first I thought, really? I'm going to have to stay in another night, what if it happens again overnight? But he said, all this seems to be is a temporary palpitation, although it was prolonged, and although it was AF, atrial flutter, it's something that we can fix with tablets. Now, fortunately for me, he put me on beta blockers. He's put me on sotalol, if you're interested. Beta blockers, which should, in theory, stop that sinus node from sending the extra beats to my heart and keep me on an regularly irregular heartbeat, if that makes sense. So it'll be 60 to 70 BPM, but it will still be irregular. I will still have that murmur. I'll always have that. And it seems to have worked. I'm on the beta blockers, I'm on the sotalol. I've not had an issue since, and it's been a few days now since I was in hospital, and nothing at all. No palpitation, no chest pain, just nothing at all, which is great. So I seem to be fixed. I'm being cautious the way I say that, but I do seem to be fixed. So I'm on the beta blockers alongside my warfarin, of course. Still on the warfarin. Well, I always will be, obviously. Eventually, I got discharged from hospital. It was around, when I got discharged rather, it was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. And I walked out just thinking, what the hell just happened? I mean, I'd been in hospital overnight with what felt at the time quite a scary prolonged palpitation, or AF. And then I walked out with nothing. And the doctors they hadn't done anything. They're sure I'd been in the hospital bed and they'd starved me, but they hadn't done anything. I'd sorted myself out somehow. But what it did do was made me think. And although I'm on the beta blockers and it shouldn't happen again, in theory, it does make you think. I mean, I'm sure anyone watching this who's had issues like that, whether it's AF or something else, it scares you a bit. I know it scared me a bit. I know it scared everyone that knows me a bit. But I'm hoping that it doesn't happen again. It shouldn't do. But I can't help thinking, what if? And I can't help thinking, what caused it in the first place? You might be thinking, what were you doing at the time? Were you working? Was I lifting anything heavy? No, nothing at all. It was, when it first started, the AF, it was about 11 o'clock at night. I just finished watching a film before going to bed, and that was it. And I was off to sleep. And I could feel this, and that's why I thought it's nothing and it will go away. But what scares me, obviously, is if it happens again. And I don't think it will. I really don't think it will. I know it's been a while since I've posted a video, and I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to get back in properly. I've had stuff to deal with and this, but yeah, there's going to be a video at least once every week, and there's going to be 3 different playlists, if you like. There's going to be one which is news. There's a lot in the news at the minute about specialist heart centres maybe closing down across the country, and I'm going to look into that and hopefully somehow clarify it a bit by doing some research. There's going to be a playlist about, I haven't decided titles yet, but there's going to be a playlist about sort of the myth, what can and can't you do with a congenital heart defect, things such as flying and travel insurance. And there's also going to be a playlist, well, where this video goes, kind of anything that happens to me. I'm not going to do vlogs like I did. I know I tried a vlog, I don't like it, it's not happening again. Not quite like that anyway. Unless there's something really big going on, and then there will be. But yeah, there'll be 3 playlists: news, what can and can't you do, and anything that happens to me. That's the channel from now on. It's going to be once a week. Tell me down in the comments, have you ever had atrial flutter? Have you ever had anything that scares you? Just, does having CHD in itself scare you? Yeah, I know it did for me. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.